Hello, today's date is February 7th, 2015. It's about 3:42 a.m. in the morning, and it's a Saturday. And I got to get to bed at some point, but I decided I checked my email on YouTube, and I saw that people had left some not so nice comments. So I'm going to call this a random rant for February 7th, 2015. I could do part twos of these random rants, but I'll try to do one a day. I don't have any time limit on my YouTube account, which is good, so I'll try to make this as short or as long as I feel like making it. First of all, I want to start out by saying that I'm glad Vention MGTOW clarified a few things for me. Bragging about all the good things you have when you're MGTOW, I can tell you my experience now. I know Vengeance probably not doing it to get people jealous, but being a marathon runner and qualifying twice to run Boston, I found out something through somebody that people, if you're really good at something, especially if you've worked hard at it or it's taken you years to accomplish, not to be construed or confused with people that just, quote, get lucky in life and have a great job because they knew the boss or they were super good looking. But people that, like, let's say you spend 5-10 years working hard at something. In Vention's case, it's being a diesel mechanic. He didn't have a woman, so that, of course, saved him all the drama. Got a good life. He seems like he's got a good relationship with his dad, which that's a good thing, too. But so I run marathons, okay? I'm in the top 2%. Want to get better. I've got a long way to go to get to the goals I want to. But I realize that it's probably not a good idea for me to, like, talk to people. Well, I've learned this a long time ago is that, when you have something you're good, like these people that brag about, like, their kids, okay? I'll brag about my marathons. I don't do as much anymore, but these people that have, and I've seen church people do this all the time. They just say, oh, God, the Lord blessed me with all these healthy kids, and I've been so blessed. All my kids are making good money, and I got great grandkids. I know people that brag about how much money their grandkids make, and, my kid's an honor student. You've seen those bumper stickers on people's cars. My kid's an honor student at ABC or this elementary school or high school, whatever. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, I was never an honor student in school. And I take offense to those things because, what you're basically saying to me when you say your kid's an honor student is that kids that have ADD or dyslexia are somehow inferior because they more than likely, if you have ADD, sorry, my computer's booting up. If you have ADD or you have ADD or dyslexia or whatever, sometimes you're not going to get good grades in school, so hence, it's kind of an insult, And same thing with these Christians that, brag about how healthy their kids are, because I've gone to church with people that have had kids that are deformed. I mean, they'll bring the kids. I went to church one time with a guy, his daughter had to wear these leg braces, and she looked kind of short for her age, and she obviously was going to have, a challenging adulthood, I'm sure. I haven't seen them in years, but, it's just that I'm trying to get this across that, MGTOW, and by the way, I'm not an infiltrator. There's a couple people that have left comments that I'm infiltrating the movement. This is the dumbest thing in the world. First of all, you know my first and last name. You know what I physically look like. You've seen me do my TFL videos. I've never opened up troll accounts. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I could lie about it, but I've never trolled anybody. Trolling is for cowards. I'm going to do a separate video on what my impression is of internet trolls, namely that they're nameless and faceless. That's definitely for sure. And but these trolls out there do this. So there's a misconception of understanding things about me personally. The talking head videos, I want to do those, but I'm not in a position to do them because I'm very busy with my time. It takes a lot of preparation to set the camera down. I mean, I could put one on my dashboard of my car, but then it's got to be daytime. When I'm driving, I'm driving a lot at nighttime too, and it'd be pitch black. You just see a dark face. So the talking head videos are definitely ones I want to do again, and because I think people like to put a name with the face. This thing. I'm going to tell you something what I've learned about. I know it's going to offend a lot of MGTOWs out there who have great channels, but I really think that ultimately, I want to be able to put a name and a face together, or at least a face on a video. I really like what Gregory Becker has done. I like what Vention MGTOW has done. I like what Bill Greathouse of TFL has done. I like what Arini I kind of semi-like. I definitely don't like Aaron Clary. He's definitely not somebody I would take advice or buy his ebook from, but at least he's out there. There are people out there, and for some reason, and many of them tell their first and last name, and I don't understand this thing with like Sandman. I mean, he's devastated. He could lose his career. When I got to say this to you guys, when I did my Shaming Tactics series, that 4-part series, I was working a full-time teaching job. And when I did my marriage video, I still got that. I want to repost some of those up again. But I was working a full-time job in a trade school, and with my first and last name on my videos, nobody ever called me out on it. I was very fortunate nobody did, because if corporate had gotten it, it's possible somebody could have made a fuss about it, and it could have created some problems. But I didn't worry about it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that clearly, for whatever reason, they don't really want to show their face. Now, Barbara Ross is a perfect example. I mean, he wants to be head of the MGTOW. He wants to be the kid glove. I mean, how do you become the godfather or the father of MGTOW? And he's even said this on videos. I am not going to show my face on camera. I am not going to tell you my name. And, how do you do that? Even Stardust at one time used to show his face on camera. He doesn't anymore. I guess maybe he wants to go in hiding or something. But, I heard a rumor that Stardust had some charges brought up on him. There's a reason why he's living in a foreign country, but I don't know if those can be substantiated. He did a hell of a series in 2012. His MGTOW stuff was outstanding. He looks like he put a lot of time into it. He just the dialogue. It wasn't the fancy gyrating video graphic editing bullshit that you see in an Alex Jones video, but it was pictures, and did great. That's a pet peeve of mine too. I'll talk about that in our time. But Stardust at one time had shown his face on camera. I don't know why he doesn't do it anymore. These people, if there's anybody that's a plant, it's somebody that trolls videos, and I don't know what the deal is, I really don't. I mean, I feel like I'm dealing more with, I get to know the character of the person better. I mean, I kind of got an idea of like the type of person Vention is. His character, he is highly eccentric. In the sense that I think he could be a beta provider, but I do think that he's eccentric enough that he might benefit himself being single, because it would take an incredibly unique woman to deal with his eccentricities. Now, that's nothing personal. It is personal. I mean, it technically is. I have been told that by people too. I've been told that I'm very loving and affectionate. I mean, I go out of my way with people. I'm going to tell you about my character. People think I'm a nerd, but if I see somebody walking out on the slippery ice or something, let's say it's real cold, I'll walk up to them and tell them how to walk on the ice to avoid splitting their head open. I mean, I come across as a goody two-shoe, but, I'm always trying to, where most people would just say screw it, let somebody fall on the ice and crack their head open. I'm always the one to go out there to try to help somebody. I used to carry ice in my car, or ice melt in my car, and like if I would go somewhere and there was like let's say on the corner of the curb there was a big block of ice or something, I'd throw some rock salt down there because, you know what, I don't want to hear that somebody busted their head open on the ice because, you know, that's a life-altering injury. So yes, I'm one of those kind of eccentric dorks that maybe people would, you know, find me interesting, and I think, and not so interesting, and I think Vention's like that too. It's just his nature, but he does good for himself. So, you know, if money in food the food preparation thing, I definitely think is admirable. He's doing that. As far as having, you know, all these nice, you know, things like material things, the only thing I'll say is, a lot of MGTOWs are very hell-bent against materialism, and I guess because not everybody has access to money or a job or the talent to do the types of things that are required to make a decent living, and because they're and some are lazy too. I'm not going to doubt that, but you know, you go through these, you know, and some people are in stages in their life where, yes, I've gone time where I've not worked, and sometimes it's the most liberating time in the world too. But like, people's lives are in stages, and you have to look at that some people are not as fortunate in MGTOW. They're men going their own way, and they're unemployed, or they've lost their corporate job for X amount of years. There was a rumor that George Sedini was going to lose his job too. I don't know if he would have lost it, but it's, you know, the thing about it is that you don't know what could happen. So anyways, all I was trying to make a point is that when people brag about their kids, I'm going off on a tangent here. When people brag about their kids being healthy and having their limbs and not being sick and getting good grades, they're basically insulting the very people that are around them hearing this that don't have those things, and you know, it's a very unfortunate thing that. And there's people that do that. So, you know, when I show my marathon stuff, I'm just showing what is possible. And in my situation, I have to work my ass off. And I can prove that you could do it too if you had any questions about it or wanted to lose weight. I can tell you that too, because I've lost tons of weight. I've been up to 185 pounds, and I looked like shit. I looked horrible. And so now I'm like down to 148 now and getting smaller. So... another thing I want to talk about is that I made this video about the marginalization of black MGTOWs, and I'm getting all kinds of stupid flack. I don't know who's coming up with this idea that I'm a racist now. Okay, maybe everybody has got prejudice, but this wasn't a prejudice video. This was pointing out that in my personal experience, I do believe blacks African Americans have it tougher in society. But I'm getting black trolls out there that are trolling my videos, or it could be white people pretending to be black trolls. But they're calling me a racist and you know, running this stupid stuff where I'm trying to mitigate the situation or be empathetic and explain that I think African American males do have it tough in the dating scene because they're up against a feminine culture in their culture that treats them like crap, that you know, has a very belligerent kind of confrontation. You've seen the typical big black woman. I'm a strong, independent woman. I've seen it. I saw this one black woman chew out this one white guy one time when I was at the hospital. You know, I was taking, you know, a relative, my mother there, and this was at University Hospital in Cleveland, and this black woman was F you, and she was mofo this, and just cussing this guy out, and this guy just stood there, and he just maintained his composure. Of course, not much he could do, really, but he was working, and this woman was yelling this stuff. So, you know, I can see how that can almost neuter a black guy, to have that type of situation in a community where you have these women that don't give you the time of day. And, I just very rarely see a black male that has the same kind of strength toward his women as the Italian wife beater, of the 1920s or 1940s. Remember they always joke with the stereotypes. They say he's wearing an Italian wife beater shirt. The Italian male at one time, and I'm only going to say at one time because I don't think that's the case anymore, but they were the captains of their domain. You'd see these guys that, the man kind of owned the house and did his thing, and, if his wife gave him a hard time, he'd slap her. He wouldn't beat her with his broken, bony knuckles, but that's just how things were years ago, and the man was the captain of his ship. And, of course, we don't have that anymore with Anglo-gynocentrism and corporate gynocentrism. We don't have that anymore. And so the misunderstanding with the thing I was saying about blacks and MGTOW was that basically they definitely have a hard time in dating. And when you really look at the options, the role models are rappers and athletes that are pussy, and these guys are pussy beggars too. The black athletes aren't really in control of the situation. They get to choose from several women that are just trying to get pregnant is all they're doing. I think that this needs to be understood too, that women choose and men respond. When I see a ladies' man like a James Dean lookalike, he's not choosing the women. They're choosing him first, and he's grateful to be chosen by these women, substandard looking women, and he gets to choose which one he wants to have sex with. He may have sex with all of them because that's kind of what's going on today now with the bad boys. So, clarification's important. I guess you could say YouTube is almost entertainment too. I mean, people could take this for what it is. I'm not out here to try to start an internet flame war. I remember Bill Greathouse used to get into those heavy arguments with people on YouTube. I thought to myself, Bill, you're making enemies with people you don't even know. I mean, he would be cussing at people, individual people, not like in the general sense. He'd be like, you don't know shit, lady XYZ, and I think he was getting into it with this woman named Diana Boston. This woman, I guess he was getting into it with her, and I used to listen to his Just Bill show, and he would be talking about her. But yeah, I mean, I don't get into those attacking individuals on YouTube. I just think that if we can't discuss these issues in an intelligent manner, who are we, Like I did the video. People are thinking that I'm referring to a lot of MGTOW guys as Aspergian. I've been called Aspergian. I've been called eccentric and whatnot. There is truth to it. There's no doubt that there is a pattern with certain MGTOWs, but I think also when you have less to lose, you're more apt to go that route. So you could have a non-Aspergian guy with a less than average IQ who is going his own way and may not know it because he's not willing to challenge the powers and put himself out there because he's afraid of, people will find out and he won't be socially accepted. So what happens is when people have less to lose and they're intelligent, possibly a little bit on the eccentric side, they're going to be more apt to go out there and just say, the hell with it, I got nothing to lose. Sometimes having nothing to lose is the best way to be. These people that are afraid of losing their jobs, I mean, I don't see how you can really, you're on the internet. Yes, you can block your IP address go through a proxy server. You can do all kinds of things. You can get away with it for a long time, but are you really being honest with yourself when you do that, You're not being honest with yourself, and so I'm glad my name's out there. I admire Bill Greathouse for telling his name. I admired even Dwayne Holloway. He's not on there anymore, but you put a name with a face, and Vention's out there. A girl writes what is now giving her first and last name. I think it's Karen Stroud. not a fan of hers, but that's another video too. But I'm just rambling on here. Yeah, these rants are just going to be just off the cuff. There's going to be no rule. I have another idea for, I was going through, last year, I'm sure you guys remember, for about 3 or 4 months, I had my Steve channel, SteveHoca.com channel up, and as you notice, I had articles on there. And I still have those articles in document format, and I was going to do like, Sandman reads off a script, but the way he does it, and you know who else reads off a script is Barbar, and it drives me nuts. But I have some really good articles I might read at a slower pace, and I'm going to read them off. I have some really good articles. I'd like to do them in audio format because, honestly, I'm sort of yawning here. I want to be able to get this stuff out, and it's food for thought for people and stuff. Good for iPod listening and whatnot. So, anyways, I'm going to sign out of here now. I'm just kind of running out of things to say. I've been out here 20 minutes. So, today is February 7th, 2015. It's almost 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time. And, I forgot to mention Winston Wu. He tells his first and last name too. Winston Wu said, isn't it funny how the people who are on YouTube that are the most unique or something always have these first and last names that are like nobody's got them. Like there's hardly, if Winston Wu's out there, it's not like John Smith or Steve Hoca's or whatever. I imagine there's Bill Greathouses out there, but there's probably not a lot of them. So anyways, okay, well, I guess I'm going to sign out of here, guys. All right, bye-bye.